Yeah, I got one in 4 buildings. It's fascinating. Yeah, just keep having kids. That's what happens. Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Looks like we need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Thank you. Thank you. Questions, comments?
2 things I'd like a little more discussion on. The IGA of the Salida police department on the SRO, and this approved the HEA funds carryover. That seems I don't know if it is. I just look at other explanations.
Yeah, I can handle that one, Matt. It's what was approved for the HA remodel, but because work's being done in July and August, it wasn't completed by June. We just have to approve the expenditure into the next fiscal year. So you're not approving new money. It's the same money. It's just it wasn't spent in last fiscal year, and we have to spend it in July or August, basically. It's not going to actually be that much, but that's how much is left on the budget.
Okay. So, yeah, we can use that one.
Yep.
So are you saying you'd like to move the IGA into an action item?
And then I just want to clarify that the dress code that we're going with, the dress code that we approved a couple of years ago with those few CASB changes, not the one that was in the packet.
And this is a first reading, so it's more acknowledging that we're
Okay.
looking for changes, but yeah, it's not.
But on that dress code, so there was changes from the law side around graduation regalia. And so that was really the only changes. I did send it back out today, making sure it was the right version that you guys had. I think there might have been confusion. So no changes to the dress code policy that you adopted a few years ago, except for new language around graduation regalia. That's the only change to that policy because of CASB's recommendation due to law changes. So.
David, I just have one comment for 3EI, which is acknowledge to repeal the graduation requirements. We started a little over 5 years ago working on that, and it had to go up through each of the graduating classes. And I'm really excited about the senior seminar that's starting right now, and then also the pathways that were created at the high school. It's a long time coming, and that aircraft carrier's turned, and I'm fired up.
I do think that's worth mentioning, just something to be excited about. You have actually some of the most rigorous graduation requirements in the state of Colorado, far more than some of your more districts in Colorado that might get a lot more press. You actually require more, particularly in the areas of finance. You require personal finance, which many districts are just doing, but now you require economics, and then comprehensive health and senior seminar, which is really around civil dialogue, and that is fully in everybody's course load now. And so it's something to be proud of. And you've also at the same time increased flexibility so kids can do more work-based learning and really delve into their career exploration. So to be able to do both ends is impressive, and I think you have something to be proud of.
Took a while to turn that aircraft carrier. But we did it. We did it. All right. I need some Robert's rules help out,
Okay,
probably,
do you need an amended motion?
which would have been
That's
Sherry,
Dr. Beckman. Yep. Yep.
to move the IGA with the PD for the SRO to an action item. J. Yes.
And Jen, a second on that amendment?
Okay, with those changes and the removal of J, any other questions, comments? Okay, ready for a vote?
All right, Dr. Beckonridge Pettit. Aye. Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Hobbs.
Aye.
Mrs. Umberg.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Ms. Schickman. Aye. And Mr. Smith.
Aye. You want your folks to be able to leave?
Yeah.
Okay. Usually the time when we disperse you all, so stay if you want, but if not, have a good night. Thank you for a great start to the year. Sorry, Savannah, you get to stay. You're at the table. You're stuck.
Yeah. Do I need to put stuff on the screen?
No, you're next.
Do I need to
By
put anything up?
September, she'll be all done.
Do I need to put anything up on the screen? Or do you have hands? I want you to make copies. Just need to know. Let's just try it, and if you need me to put anything up on the screen. Feel free to do that. If you want me to right now, try.
I don't think it's for you.
Once you resend it in.
So you can turn on. Being ready. Keep passing the treats.
My friend, you don't need to set it. Like you can just.
All right, you have one discussion
Okay.
tonight.
Does that work?
This is a discussion around an electric bus. We've been talking and looking at it for 4 years, knowing that at some point the numbers might work. The numbers weren't a good fit prior to this. And I do, before we get started, want to talk about electric buses and where we live and make sure people have a good understanding of where it's a good fit and where it is not. And I can let Evelyn add to that, and then we'll talk about this specific deal. The reason we're looking at it right now is we think the numbers may work. It's at the end of grant cycles. I think we can leverage the most amount of dollars that would allow us to get both the electrical infrastructure in at our site, as well as to get an electric bus. The electric bus is a bad fit for most of our routes. Let's just be really clear about that. We are not a district that is going to find success with an entire electric bus fleet. We cannot do trip buses. Like if you're going to take an athletic trip, the football team or the golf team or whatever it is, and they're going to go to Denver to play a match, that bus is not going to come home in time. It does not have that kind of range. So at no time will an electric bus going to be a solution where we can take long trips. In addition, if we are going up high, hard mountain passes, it is not going to be a good fit. However, if you are driving down to Howard on a route trip, mostly flat, right? And it's about, what is that, 24 miles, I think, to Howard?
Miles, it's about 30 miles round trip.
Right? So if you take the morning trip and then come back and plug it back in and then take the afternoon trip, then it is a good fit. That's a pretty limited usage bus for us. It's not one of those that we can kind of flip in and out between as the years go. So it's another reason we've been very reticent to do large investments in that. So I just want to make sure people are aware that the diesel bus solution is still the solution that we need to be investing in, preparing for in almost all instances. But we think that having a route bus here and the way the numbers could work, it could be a benefit. Do you want to add to that at all, Evelyn?
So the only thing I want to add to that is that David's right, it would be only a route bus. Right now, that's about all it would be able to handle, is a route. I did look into this, and I did talk, Keenan is here from Highland, but when we had the conversation, I can put Tim Mickey on the phone if you need to. He's in Wyoming.
Tim Mickey's in charge of McCandless.
He is our bus guy. He is the one I go to when I need to order buses. Tim Mickey is McCandless.
He builds buses.
He builds buses, and he listens to me when I build them specifically. So the route, so it would work also for a short trip. So football teams, baseball teams, track stuff, sometimes go to Buena Vista. Okay, they leave at 2:00, turn around, come back, do the route. So in that aspect, we could do that. But after his route, he would have to come plug it in and then go back to BB and the diesel bus to pick him up. It would help in a sense because we had 3 buses go down in 3 weeks ago. So I am down, and there are older buses. There are 1998s. They're hard to replace and hard to fix. Right now, 7 is just not fixable. Right now, it will cost me too much money to put money into it to get it to run maybe again. I'm not at that point to do that. I got borrow parts from that to fix 6, so I have 6 running. Bus 11 needs a whole new clutch, plate, all that stuff. I'm not going to fix that one because it's a 98. Under CDE standards and protocol and rules and regulations, they'll let me run a bus 20 years plus as long as it holds up to a CD inspection. Right now, those 2 buses will not hold up to a CD inspection. So they're sitting there. I'm not putting money into it. So having this bus is an option. So I have a route bus. Then I can take the bus that's off that route and put it on the route bus that I need to have it on 6. Okay? So we can do that if we need to. But yeah, Keenan has all the information. He can tell you everything. It is a good deal because there's no money coming out of the district. When I looked at this system a full 2-3 years ago, it was that we had to come up with the money to put the infrastructure in, and then we could do the rebate. But we may not have gotten all of the rebate. Okay, so now it's a little more solid. Excel tried to back out or meal the deal, but between Keenan, Connor, and Tim Mickey getting on Excel, and now we can go forward, hopefully, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm going to place it over to Keenan. He's going to explain the whole
Keenan,
thing.
before we get into the deal, do we want to pause and make sure they understand the difference between electric and diesel?
Oh, electric and diesel.
Because I don't think your presentation is getting into that
Oh.
piece.
No.
Electric, the difference between electric and diesel is electric is very quiet. There are 2 batteries underneath. There is no emissions.
So it's not a hybrid, it's all electric.
It's
Okay.
all electric. The only thing that would be in there that would be diesel for our altitude and for our weather is that I would still put a Webasto heater on it. A Webasto heater is a system that mixes with diesel. So it's like a 1/4 cup of diesel. It goes into a burner unit. This burner unit fires up. That burner unit has a pump and it pushes. So instead of just plugging in your car and heating the oil pan, the Webasto heats up all the fluids. So the bus, you don't have idling time, okay, to warm up a bus. You 10 minutes, you got warm air, you're driving, okay? Beforehand, I used to have to come in an hour head start on the buses. Now it's a half hour, 15 minutes pre-trip, and they're out running, okay?
It's cold.
What other
So,
questions
yeah,
do you
it's
have?
cold.
I just want to pause, make sure people understand the fit of electric versus diesel. Do you have other questions?
Well, that, I just was wondering if, because
It's
hybrid,
It's all
it's all electric.
It's all electric. There's 2 big batteries underneath that run it. They have their own heating and cooling system. When you see all the horror movies, there are horror stories on the news that blow up and burn up. I think they finally fixed that. This is the 2nd generation coming forward because I've been watching them. So yeah, they come forward. They don't blow up and catch on fire as much. McCandless is one I trust. I trust him. I trust these guys. So if we were going to do this, this would be the company I would do it through. And diesel Diesel is, it'll fire up and go anytime I need to. I don't have any issues with diesel. I run red diesel in it, so it has the additive in it. Cold mornings, my brakes may freeze up, but after warming up, I can go out there and I can still run the bus. And I can run the bus at any given time. The electric bus, on the other hand, I gotta wait for a charge.
So
But it's nice to have a mix.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it's a nice.
I missed the whole, why are we looking into electric buses?
Because it's the future. It is the future.
Right.
It is coming. That's just the bottom line. Electric is coming. And I've been holding off because of some of the problems that electric buses have had. But now they're coming forward, they're getting better, but it is the future. It is a good footprint. I sit back and I look at my grandsons. Number one, their future and what we've been doing needs to change. I like propane buses too, because that's all natural also, that's less of a footprint. But right now, propane has kind of been put off to the side, where electric buses are getting put in.
can I also
Are
add, the
there-
reason we're looking at it right now is because this, what we'll talk about, this deal could help us get the infrastructure
Yeah,
in
for
place.
nothing.
So it's not about the bus for us, it's about how can we get a bus and the infrastructure
Is the
versus waiting and then having to pay
bus
the
also
whole.
nothing, the bus and the infrastructure, nothing to us?
Let's talk about that one. That'll be a second.
Okay. Can I just,
Diesel versus electric.
did you say we do have a mechanic that can work on electric?
Now we do, you'll have
That's
to go to
this-
classes and train, and
Okay.
that's part of this package. I would send him to Denver to McCandless, and he would be trained. I would also have my drivers trained on it, and I would be trained on it, so everybody be trained on electric bus, because it is way different to drive than a diesel bus. But I did drive the one 4 years ago with Tim Mickey. They're quiet. They're quiet. You don't know you get up and go until you look down.
I have a bunch of questions, but maybe you'll answer them.
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
just
what I
gonna-
thought, yeah.
Sounds good. Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. It is your turn now.
All right,
There's some context.
thank you. Yes, I think so. Hi, everybody. My name is Kian Burns. I'm regional manager for Highland Electric Fleets. I'll preface this that the Connor, who was here for the previous meeting with you and I believe David, he's on a plane, so he couldn't make it. And then technical bus questions are best directed at Tim Mickey with McCandless, but I'll try my best or get the answers and move them forward to the team. We can go to the first slide and get right into the opportunity with Excel and why it makes sense right now for districts in Colorado. And that's Excel Energy, the utility, is doing a bus program, and it's specifically about vehicle to grid charging. So they're really exploring how are they using these buses to help the grid. And with that includes a subsidized bus, subsidized infrastructure, and a subsidized charger. And they're trying to target different types of communities to test this type of electrification process. As far as front range, urban communities, Jeffco, Aurora, DPS, some of those are targets for them. And then Salida would be a rural community that they're targeting. And so with this, they're also exploring vehicle to building capabilities as well, which is kind of where this project was on the rails, off the rails, and now back on the rails. But we are exploring just the opportunity here, how you guys feel about it, and then making sure Excel accepts the funding as well.
Can we just pause and make
Yeah.
sure? Does that make sense to you guys? So
Yeah.
what they would do, because I
Yes.
ask all the extra questions. So when it says V2B, vehicle to
Yeah.
building, what they would do, let's imagine it's the middle of the night, they have extra electricity in comparison to peak hours. You charge the bus is now, all that energy is stored in batteries. They can then plug the bus back into the grid and download that stored battery energy back into the grid. So they are
Because they're using it
exploring
as a tool.
how to stabilize and expand the electrical grid. And so that is one of the things that this is, that's why it's of interest to them to invest in.
The buses generate,
Store.
the
They're a
buses
big battery.
store it, okay. And they create energy as they're driving? Like the old Priuses?
No,
That's
no, they have the energy stored on the battery. So when they're sitting plugged in, you can call the energy from the battery and it's bi-directional. So it's going, instead of energy to bus, you're going taking the energy from the bus and returning it
Oh,
to
got
the
it.
grid
Okay.
or to the building.
If they don't use it all.
So it's
Yeah.
just like the Ford truck commercial where your power goes out and you plug into your truck to light your house.
Exactly.
And which could be of interest to us. I don't know, but those sort of situations like our middle school, when power goes out, that's, it's a building that's highly impacted by that. Do you drive your bus over and plug it in? I don't know, but these are the kind of concepts we're starting to play with.
But then how do you get the kids home? If you just bring the buses under
Well, you'd have to bring
Well,
a
the
diesel.
diesel.
Do they not make hybrid where you can plug in and use? Yes.
Yeah, not in
That's
this
the
case,
best.
yeah.
Okay.
What is
That's why,
B2G?
that's why this sounds too good to be true, because Excel needs to do some research. And
Yes,
as we are part of their pilot program, they
Mhm.
will help us with some of it.
yes.
Vehicle to grid, the G stands for grid. V to B, the B stands for building.
Yep, and then the other example of the V's is V to X, and that's vehicle to everything. So it's all the different technologies that they could run on a bus. For example, emergency relief in a hurricane area, you go set up phone chargers for everybody so you continue having access to that. So it's some of those resilience plans that Excel is exploring.
So, sorry, before we go, what is your relationship and Highland's relationship to Excel?
Yeah. So Highland, we're an electrification partner for public facing entities as far as school districts, universities, municipalities. And when it comes to us working with Excel, working with McCandless, we've been able to do V2G programs for 3 years now. And we've been able to do that in the state of Colorado as well. So Excel is leaning on us as a partner to make sure that these projects run efficiently and work.
So, like, you're mutually exclusive. Like, if you wanted to work with the Muna Vista School District, you would work with them in Sangre de Cristo, and Excel doesn't have a problem with that.
Right. Yep. Yeah, we can work.
And we'll get deeper into that just when we talk about this particular contract and how it's one singular, it's its own LLC. We'll talk about it more. Okay, that's why this is a discussion. Anything
Yeah.
else on this you want to talk about?
Sure, yeah. As a partner electrification, we handle everything for a school district. This is great because the funding's kind of already here. A lot of times we find an interested district, come up with a project plan, figure out where their diesel total cost of ownership is and how we get below that, and then go find the funding, whether that's state, local, federal, to get below that line. Luckily with this, we'll hopefully be able to get below those numbers once we get final approval from Excel. And with this, we go through project planning, getting the buses and chargers, making sure we get the best out there, the chargers that talk to each other. A lot of districts, they go out and they do independent RFPs for the bus, independent RFP for the charger. They end up not working together and they become just paperweights on the lot. We make sure that our projects are successful. We have vehicle and charger uptime guarantees. As of yesterday, we were at 98% across 530 different units across the nation. 98% uptime on the chargers there and over 94% on the vehicle. So that's much higher than is the standard out there. And that's because that's what we do. And we have kind of economies of scale to figure this out and make sure we have the best matchups of everything. And then as far as supporting training, supporting any maintenance or servicing that's needed, and smart charging is the other component that Excel is very interested in because we have to charge at off-peak hours, call events to make sure that we're getting the energy efficiently at the right time and the right amount. So we have platforms that manage all of this vehicle to grid and just general charging. And the one thing I'll preface this is the number one priority of Highland is making sure your fleet operates how it's supposed to operate. So as far as getting students to school, that's the number one priority for this project.
So
Yes, ma'am.
if this all magically happens, whatever, would you see the district being like a hybrid as far as some electric, some diesel then?
Yeah, probably. I would probably say, I'm hoping down the line, technology comes up better, where it
Yeah.
can be a hybrid bus, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Right now, we have the option electric or diesel. Yet, I don't think, up in our area, in our mountainous area, like David said, all electric will not work for us. There are just too many variables in our way to have an all electric fleet. There's just no way it would work.
Yeah.
Meaning that there's not enough plugins. I mean, if we were to drive to Pueblo, we'd have to find some station to plug in. That means the district is paying for that.
Yeah. Well, and then the technology, I don't know if this is the right question for you. I guess a big concern for me would be just, I know like my off-the-grid house is less than 10 years old, but already had to like replace all my batteries in my solar system and get that all sorted out, and it's less than 10 years old. So how do we feel about whatever system would go in being a long-term, viable long-term?
Let's come back to that one, because I think that's part of the guarantees of why we're working
Okay.
with Highland and McCandless. It's the perfect question. And then Tim is on the phone from McCandless. I think he'll be able to help us also with some of the technical questions. But let's keep moving forward, and then we'll go to the questions.
Yes, we go to the
Other way.
next way.
There we go.
Yep, and so what Highland does is we try to de-risk the project both financially and operationally. De-risking financially means that there are no costs until vehicles are actually on the road operational. And then from an operational standpoint, de-risking that is we have the guaranteed uptimes on the chargers, route readiness guarantees, meaning that this route that we've set out that this bus can do, when it's returned and plugged in and it's charged up, by the next morning, it will be able to run that route. And so we have all of our modeling, making sure that the routes are approved and that they're able to be done. And then as far as an operational guarantee, we have a full bumper-to-bumper warranty beyond even the manufacturer's warranty for the duration of the contract, and that's on the bus and the charger. So if we were to not have a bus or charger that worked, that would be on Highland to figure that issue out, whether that's installing new parts, installing new batteries. In certain instances, we've had to take chargers out and install new company's chargers. And the price is stable, so it does not go up and down based on all of that risk that we are taking on.
Speaks, Jen, I think, to a lot of what your question and concern previously has been, why we've not been interested in looking at this deeper. Yep. Sorry, struggling here apparently.
You gotta hit the right arrow instead of down.
Thank you.
And then these are the details of the site plan, and our origination team, which would be Connor, and then our origination manager, Adam, are more in the weeds on this one. So I'm happy to take questions and get responses for them. But it's a 60 kilowatt vehicle to grid or vehicle to building charger that would be installed, including the infrastructure. And so that infrastructure is there if we need technology advancements in 10, 20 years. You'll have that underground wiring already there calling in the power.
How much can you expand that? Is there potential to expand it in the future? Charge 3 buses instead of 1?
Yes. Yeah, there is. And we'll have to look at what Excel is pulling in. So the individual charger has a kilowatt hour amount, and then you pull in power from the transformer into a switch gear, which processes the power and then puts in the charger. And so I'm not sure on the specific numbers of what we're pulling in for future, but there's usually capacity to then expand it and future-proof that project.
Has there been any discussion about putting in solar to manage this? No, I mean-
Actually, I did bring it up to David because I would love to
Yeah.
have solar on my buses, but that is a project that's going to be farther into the future. And this would actually help with solar. I mean, because we could charge the solar power, the solar power could actually charge the bus. That would take it off the grid if need be. But yeah, I would love to have solar over my buses, a little roof like they have at the high school, but that is a whole different ballgame.
Could it be retrofitted later if you wanted to move it into solar?
We will write that question down and have to inspect it. I think,
I mean, I know that's,
I think
but
Connor wrote that down. And
but we can look into, this is the line that comes from the purple one all the way over here to the yellow bus. That's the thing that's most interesting to me. That's the infrastructure purchase. 270 feet of conduit is a big number. But the question is how much power is running down the road there, which then creates the math problem that Matt was referencing. And we've got to do the further research on that. That's why this is not a decision tonight.
I would make an assumption that Excel would want people to do this because then they would make money selling you the electricity instead of you buying the gas. Is that? Not right?
I think you're right. I just think.
Part of it.
I think they're just being cool.
Big guys.
Yeah.
So, just in the research,
No, I
it's
don't.
about storage. Yes, that's how I understand it. It's about storage, and could we use those batteries? Yes, we're one, but.
Yeah, I think it's that, and then just like to help with some of their
Certain
infrastructure
times.
issues that they have with the community outgrowing them faster than they're ready for typically.
Yeah, when it comes to more of the front range districts, they do have a need for the energy in the buses. Salida doesn't quite have that need, the strain on the grid as some of those front range, so it's not, that piece of it isn't as relevant for Excel, but they want to explore this in a more rural area, and that's kind of where this district checks the box for that.
Just logistically, I know we've kind of thrown out other ideas with the bus barn property in the past, like with other storage facilities and things
Yeah, like
like
maintenance
that.
or things are
Yeah,
shared
so
facilities
will-
with pawn shop.
Would this affect?
I think it
any of that
expands our ability
long-term
to have that
plans?
conversation. It doesn't, where it's being designed, it does not change it. It
Okay.
actually expands possibilities of having skid steer that's electric and other things, and maybe those things could become possible because you have that charging station.
Yeah, there's I think it's north, further north. There's like 2 acres.
Yeah.
It's like our property, but it's outside the bus barn walls.
It's between us and the Crane Industrial Facility.
Well, wouldn't it be easier to just move the bus instead of the big conduit?
No, you want the
No,
conduit.
Because if, the reason why that had to go that way, because that original one was, it was parked, got your little arrow. So if you come
Yeah.
down and you come down where the school vehicles are at and where the tree line's at down there
Uh-huh.
on the south end.
Oops.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
That's gonna do a lot.
Is he,
This what you're talking about?
no.
Just get up on the
Point
screen.
to it. Bam.
So, yeah, I'll just point to it. So the original plan was to put it here,
Uh-huh,
okay?
yeah.
The electric bus cannot be parked there because the water line is there. I'm sorry, I don't like electricity to begin with, and mixing it with water still doesn't sound good to me.
It's in a pipe.
And then, it still does not sound good to me. And then the other one was to put it here. Well, here is now taken up with our fuel tank. I have the diesel tank there. So the only place to really put it, and it would be accessible, and I would prefer, is to be lined up with the regular buses.
I would love
So
it.
if we got another bus,
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
so on that same
Give me just a
picture, if we got another bus, it would be able to be parked here, and that same grid would be right there. Okay, without having to move a bunch of things around and doing everything, it would still, so if we got another bus, we could actually put it there.
I mean,
You thought this.
I think that's fine. I personally would love to go as far to the back end of the lot as possible because then you have more conduit that's run to your next property.
Well, that's true. I mean, this whole thing, this is all in the,
I don't know. I'm struggling. It's very clearly.
We need to hire a new
Okay. So this whole
It's not
line
my day
right
job.
here is all electrical, okay? This whole line is where we plug in our buses in the winter, so this is all electrical. We have our light pole right there. Unfortunately, the electricity that's here that runs our building comes off of this one here, the existing one, does not project enough power, according to Connor when he walked the line with me.
Right.
That's why they have to come off of the pole, the main, whatever you call it, has to come off of here and then run that way. So yes, it would take more to run it and have it at the end of the bus line. Would be good, because then if you put the maintenance building on the other side, extend it over. But I don't know what that cost would be.
So, sorry
Not
to
ours to pay.
add, but is there a requirement for it to be a buried conduit?
Yes.
Okay, it cannot be an overhead.
Yeah, you don't want electricity, you don't want lightning to hit it.
You don't want lightning to hit anything.
And hit my building last year, remember?
Yeah, I mean,
That fire building right there.
All right, I'm gonna go to the next one,
All right,
Yeah, thank you.
if I can.
good job.
Go ahead. You're doing great dealing with this. Keep going.
Thank you. Into the Highland budgetary pricing range. So this is our estimates right now. Actually, if you go back to the previous slide one more time,
Glad to.
This on the left side, the other options being explored. So trying to fit into Excel's program as best as we can. It's one 30 kilowatt charger at the bus depot. It's or a vehicle to building charger at the bus depot or additionally at a school. So that way they could power a school in an emergency situation. And so those are just some of the different scenarios that we're running and trying to get approval from Excel that then we will forward to you guys as far as what we can get funded for.
And with that said, that was brought up to me, because all this was supposed to be brought into your packets last week. Well, Excel just all of a sudden threw this on our face. If my bus cannot be parked at the bus barn, it makes difficulties for me to monitor that bus, monitor that route, make sure my driver is there on time. If I have it parked down here at the middle school, and that bus is sick or that driver's sick that morning, doesn't show up, I don't know that until I get calls. Okay? Also, they talked about having it parked at the fairgrounds. Again, a variable for me I do not like. One is now way out in the open. Vandalism. Again, I don't want our bus to be parked anywhere but in our lot. It's the same as I use for my vehicles. The reason you can't take your vehicle home is because of insurance purposes. Okay? You're going to cover it on your insurance if it gets vandalized. Now, needless to say, if this bus is parked at the fairgrounds, whose insurance is going to cover it?
I'll send them that bill, baby.
So anyway, that's it. But anyway.
Yeah, and so that's where we instructed Excel that we would need to make sure this bus is stationed at the depot, and everything else is kind of extra, and what can we do as far as extra. And so it's a 12-year contract, and the budgetary price is $18,000 to $22,000 per year, and that includes all of the service and energy and warranty on the charger, infrastructure, and bus, and covers any delta between the Excel subsidies and the overall price of the bus and charger and all of that extra stuff. And we are working on finalizing this pricing right now and getting approved through Excel so we can present final numbers to the district.
What's the cost of the diesel bus?
The diesel bus right now, okay, yeah, Timmy's gonna answer
You
that.
go to the next slide also.
Go, Tim.
Okay, so that's kind of an open-ended question, but you're about $170 some thousand on a diesel bus right now, with the probability that that's going to go up about $20,000 with new Cummins surcharges going into effect for 2027 carb emissions, and that doesn't take into consideration any increase in tariff charges that may be incurred over the next 12 to 18 to 24 months.
So last year when you guys approved a new bus, we paid $171,000 for it. In 2 more years.
You'll be close to 200.
So by the time we get to the end of this contract, this bus is probably the same price as the diesel bus.
No.
In 12 years.
No, because I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
You've got another typically on total cost of ownership on a diesel with maintenance, fuel costs, inspections, repairs, somewhere depending on the bus, but I use about a $20,000-ish number per year. So we use $170,000 number on today's pricing. Over 10 years, you're going to be another 240 over 12 years in just repair, fueling costs, maintenance, oil, tires, in addition to the initial purchase price. With the Highland model, or what Kean's is proposing, is you've got the flat, whatever the number winds up being, that flat annual payment that covers all of those incidental costs that you're paying now on your diesel.
So you're including tires?
Yeah, everything.
You're including
From
maintenance?
The only thing, and this is dumbing it way down, Reader's Digest is the district needs to put a driver in the driver's seat, and that's pretty much your expenditures for the 12-year life of that bus, or for the term that Highland is proposing.
Because you're not investing in a diesel bus that you own. You're leasing it. It's a lease kind of mentality. And we have not analyzed these numbers. That's why it's just a discussion tonight.
Sure.
But just to make sure you guys are aware. But yeah, it seems like it's worth our looking into.
So
And one thing, if you don't mind, I just want to touch on, I heard the comment about solar that charged the buses. That's an alternative. That's a supplement. Solar is a supplement charging. You can never get enough power from solar panels to completely charge your batteries in a realistic amount of time. It's just more of a supplemental, just so everyone's kind of clear on that.
Yes.
Appreciate
You can only
that.
get so many watts out of solar panels to charge that bus, but it does help, and it does coincide with your 30 kilowatt chargers that I believe are being proposed.
So the cost on the last slide is like the annual expenditure to
10
the
years.
district. Well, the 18 to 22 number is the annual cost of the district to lease the bus, so to speak, which is similar to our maintenance costs.
At the end of 12 years, which is what we're looking at right now, who owns that bus?
Highland owns that bus. We have buyout clauses in contracts. So there are, yeah, so.
We
the-
do.
the
You do,
we-
not
we-
us.
Yes.
What was explained to us, then it would be offered to us at market rate, which is basically $1. To give you an idea, even our diesel buses at the end of 12 years, if we can sell them, are around $2,000 to $500.
Okay, so it's 6-1.
We could donate.
Appreciation
I
is
like
very
that.
fast.
We're still using 2 buses that are over 25 years old, right?
Correct.
We get beyond our useful life as often as
I know,
Right.
but if the point is you can buy a school bus for less than $5,000,
But it probably won't meet, well, going forward, it's not going to meet Colorado minimum standards. They're proposing to time out buses on age. So a 15-year-old bus will no longer be compliant to run in a fleet for a school district.
Yeah,
How
they're,
many years again, Tim?
Yeah, 20, I think.
It's 20 years, right?
Excuse me?
Didn't Fred say 20 years?
He's pushing for 15 now.
Yeah,
No.
it's not, yeah, it's pushing for it. I don't think it's gonna happen right away.
that's the thing, is
Too many
these are
districts out
conjectural.
there.
I would wait until it's actually a law,
that's it. That's what we're doing.
then a recommendation.
Right now, we have,
How many route buses do we
how many
run?
route buses? I have 5, I have 6 routes. I have 5 route buses, 1 old one using route, so that's 6. And then I have T1, T2, T3, T4. We'll have T5 coming in, so there's our trip buses.
Okay.
And then I have my 2 1998s. I have one that's a 2001, which is our old standard. And then I have a 2004, which is my other standard, that I can still run. So I've been running the 2001 and the 2004, so the old handicap bus. Oh yeah, and SN1, I forgot SN1. The old handicap bus right now on a route. And then I have my standard or bus number 12 is one I also use for routes.
And we're talking about one bus?
One bus.
So,
Thanks.
and I mean, we've been investing in a new bus every 2 years for a while now. Are those all your trip buses, basically?
No, the first ones, all the last ones have been my trip buses. Because I'm trying to make sure that I maintain a route and maintain a trip. So if I have a route bus that's stable, a good bus, I need one more route bus. And then you have your trip buses. So that routes are always covered, and then I can send somebody in a trip. We have no backup buses at all. None. I have to use my trip buses as backup buses if a route bus goes down.
So next month, if we bring this back, we will bring a list of every one of our buses
Yeah,
and when we,
That'd be good, yeah.
I think that would help decision-making to be able to see it and have that listed out.
Evelyn, just a little side question. I know that there was the discussion about all buses have to be 20 years or less old. That was legislation.
No.
Or would that be a
CDE.
policy
It's
change?
It's CDE recommendations.
Okay. And CD.
CDE will go then to legislation.
Okay.
He is trying to go through legislation to get the Colorado Department of Legislation to change school buses not be used by so many years.
And
It has
that's,
not happened right now. It's only at the CDE, Colorado
Okay,
Department of
that's-
Education
that's my-
level. He has not made it to legislation yet.
What's the
and the
rationale behind
legislation,
that?
sorry.
Safety, and because technology changes so much, it's harder to find parts. So like on my 1998s, I can call Timmy and say, Timmy, I need a gas pump, I need an oil filter, I need anything like this for that bus. Even though it's still a mechanless bus, but because of technology and new buses, that part is now deleted. There is no such thing. And you cannot go to a junkyard and pull parts off of an old bus and put on a bus en route. That is an absolute no-no.
Mr. McCandless, could you
Sounded like
hear
were doing
the,
it.
Huh?
It sounded like you were doing that.
Well,
You said you
no,
had
I've
two
only
buses.
used the two buses that are in my fleet. They're
Yeah.
sister buses.
Okay.
There is a mild cannibalization.
Yeah.
They're gonna upsell you.
Mr. McCandless, could you hear this? I know it's always hard on speaker. Could you hear the conversation they're discussing generalities of upkeep of buses and what happens as they age, particularly parts? I'm not sure if you could hear or not.
Yep, I heard what Evelyn was saying, and even at the dealership level and the national dealership level, we're seeing a very limited supply of parts, even as new as 15 to 16 years old, getting our hands on them. As a manufacturer per model, we're mandated to have parts for 10 years is what we're mandated for. We typically, as a manufacturer, try and have parts longer than that, but that's where when buses get 20, 25 years older, there's just a limited amount of parts. So it does at times get very difficult to find replacement parts for older buses.
Okay, it's a concept. Let's keep on moving through this slide deck.
Yeah, and just a little bit about Highland and why we'll be around and able to partner with Salida. We were founded in 2019. Our CEO has a background in energy and looked at electrification of fleets and how that's a future model for transportation, specifically when it comes to school districts is a highlight of ours for yellow school bus. With that, the delta between diesel and electric is super high right now, as you can see with the prices. So going out and getting grants is kind of our bread and butter, similar to this Excel program. And with our first capital raise a few years ago, we were at $253 million raised, and we're looking for another capital raise. So extending our runway as we get more and more projects and become even more self-sufficient beyond that. We, in Montgomery County in Baltimore, we have the largest electric school bus project, and it's over 200 buses outside Baltimore. And we have over 900 electric vehicles under contract right now. That's about 600 on the road. That's at 94% vehicle uptime. As far as securing Salida School District's interest in this, we register an independent LLC. So if anything were to happen to Highland, the operation of the bus would be an independent business essentially, and we'll be able to continue to function on that. And Highland targets a 6 to 8% return on projects, and we usually don't see that money until well after halfway down the line of the project.
Ken, how much, would you go back one more slide there? That was pretty smooth transition. How much of that $550 million in grants is federal money?
I think it's close to about a little over $300 million in federal.
So three, okay.
How is the project fully funded in this independent LLC from the beginning? Is it secured by line of credit, or how is that?
Yeah, we go out to secondary banks and get funding.
So if Highland went bankrupt, this independent LLC would have some financial stability.
Yes, yeah.
That got me excited. Our first solar project on top of the high school ran into not having this done correctly. And so this excited me to see this done inside of the community. feel better about
And then
bringing it
this made
forward.
you.
Yeah, I mean, the devil's
This
in the
made you
details.
feel-
on that, but, yeah.
This made you feel.
This makes me feel more.
Is the like original founder the current
Plus, and then
CEO?
you add a small.
Yes, yeah.
Um, 530 buses are on the road. What are the other vehicles that are on the road that you guys do that get you to the 900?
Mostly light duty, trucks and vans.
Like maintenance vehicles for school districts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or field trippy kind of ones?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Or,
City buses.
not city buses yet, but we are looking into more heavy duty municipal, vehicles as well.
Who makes the battery?
The battery is, Tim, who's your battery?
They're out of China right now, and it's
Protero?
Lakuta. And Traton, which that's who owns International right now, they're in the midst of Traton owns Volkswagen and quite a few other car manufacturers. Is logistically they're looking at bringing the battery, building the batteries into the United States. What they have to get around is, unfortunately, the United States has none of the rare earth minerals right now that it takes to build the batteries. So all EV manufacturers all rely on outside sources for the raw materials for the batteries.
China owns all the lithium
Correct.
in most of the world.
Yeah.
And football.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide.
Yeah. I think this is an overview of kind of what's covered under the Excel rebate, and then what are the extra hidden costs in the project that is part of that contractual price that we displayed earlier. And then this is getting a few of the timelines. Most important is the electric vehicle tax credit is expiring at the end of September. So making sure that we are able to get a contract under or signed before that to capitalize on those tax credits. So it's cheaper. And then same on the chargers, that expires June of next year. And the Excel timeline is to make sure that these are all operational by the end of 2026. So those are kind of the timelines we're working with, but it would be for next school year is our estimated timeline, and we will refine this in the final proposal.
Accusing you're hearing it this month, and then next month have a decision. If we can get through our contract details, is because by September 15th, we're told then we can access the end of those grant opportunities.
State and federal.
Federal. Yeah, 45W and 30C are the two tax credits.
And that's for Highland and or Excel.
And what do we have allotted in the budget for the bus?
Currently, we put aside $80,000 a year.
Those tax credits are Highland or Excel. So,
Yeah, but forwarded through to the district. We pass those savings on.
And they're gonna take 6 or 8% off that for their overhead.
Yeah, and then
Then is Highland and Excel both get 6 or 8?
Highland.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're doing, not Excel, just Highland.
so can we sell those tax credits because we don't need. The tax credits are being rented to the district. We don't pay taxes.
No, we can check into it. I have no idea. I see the question. It makes sense, but
That is the public-private partnership is because you guys don't pay the taxes, you don't get access to the tax credits, but working with Highland, you do it. Yes. And that's, yeah.
What'd you say, Matt?
They're buying the bus.
Oh.
so they get the credit and pass it on to us.
And then the final slide is just some of those total cost of ownership calculations broken down. And we're happy to refine these more and more so you guys get accurate numbers on the diesel TCO side.
And when you do, can we get a paper copy?
Yes.
I can't see that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be able to present this. Wanted you guys kind of get some idea. What I'd love is if you have questions, if you could forward those to Aaron, Evelyn, myself, so we can try and run those down so that next month If we think that the numbers work great, if we think it's the right deal, we bring it to you for a vote. We are making sure we bring the right information to you.
And really, your question should really go to David, because I will give David Tim Mickey's email. He already has Keenan's. I'll get him Connor's email, and that way those questions can be filtered to those three guys. I mean, I can answer some questions, but not as well as these guys can. And that way, all your questions, any questions you have, so by the end of September or whatever you guys make a decision, these three are already in the loop.
And you guys are all together.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Maybe not the same company.
But
Right.
McCandless and I
McCandless,
work very
okay.
close together.
Yeah.
And Charlie's Angels over here is Tim.
Yeah, one on my Charlie, yeah, Timmy is my Charlie.
Yeah.
It's my Charlie.
Okay, Timmy, yeah.
So, but really, like,
Give me a minute too.
from a financial obligation, the district is purely the annual costs, but there's the annual contract with Highland for maintenance and everything
Approximately
else.
$25,000. Well, 18 to 22.
And then allowing access, we'll say, to our property for Excel to put in that conduit and everything else.
And we'll see, we might have to also agree to say we're going to allow for us to figure out how to plug that back into a building and support our electrical grid for one of our school buildings. So I think there's a lot more exploration of concepts to look at, but those are the things that are on the table right now. We're trying to understand.
Yeah, this is kind of a fast thing. Like I said, you guys would have had more information, but Excel decided to throw a tattoo and everything, so this is like kind of like throw them together to bring it to you, so you guys had an idea. I'm hoping that with this conversation, that between Keenan, Connor, and Tim, they can actually put a real packet together with real numbers, get it to David, then David can spread it with you guys so that you guys actually have something to read and understand. That is the whole process. This was just so that you guys were aware of what was going on.
And if we wanted to use our funds or find other funds and go buy another bus, we could use the same probably charging stations, I assume, but we'd have to get into another contract with Highland if we wanted the maintenance on those types of things.
I mean, if we wanted to run 2 electric buses.
Yeah.
So I asked Tim about that. That was one of my questions today when I was talking to Tim. I said, okay, so what if instead of buying one bus, we want to buy 2? Okay, because I can use another bus on a different route. The other long route would be the Pinion Hills route that goes up to Sugar Shack. That's another route that's about 28 miles round trip, 30 miles, give or take. So I'd have 2 buses. And I said, what would be the basic cost for that? Well, then if you have $18,000 you're paying for one bus, you just double that and you pay $36,000. Is it a year?
Per year, yeah.
Per year, you would pay per year for 2 buses.
But we'd have to pay for the second bus.
No, it would be in the same contract.
Up to 6.
If you, instead of doing bus, it'd be about the same. So instead of just doing one, you could do 2, and it would be the same contract.
so the 6 was the minimum for other districts. For the rural district, that is not. Yes, that's why I said certain projects are different. The caveat on the 1 versus 2 is just the Excel funding pool, so we would have to explore and make sure that it would be subsidized. If it wasn't, then it would be a really expensive bus.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess I know you want questions directed to you, but I mean, I believe through some sort of funding mechanism, BV School District got a bus donated by Sangre de Cristo. I don't know where the money's flowed from above Sangre, but like, I don't want to make this like a big community partnership, but I would love to have conversations with BV's transportation folks. Sangre is the other electrical provider in the county, and then, I do think there may be some opportunities of, we will be a large charging station, and I don't know if Excel cares that they would add more to that, or if they just want to hone in on those remotes.
Okay, we can try and explore that and see where it goes over the next one. All right, and our general questions, I feel like you guys are caught up to speed, so if it comes to you next month, you won't be caught surprised. You'll be able to think about it and forward us some questions. We are exploring and doing our due diligence on this, but it seems like it may be the right time to look at this lease kind of purchase solution.
How you feeling, money man?
That's the first time I've seen the actual numbers, so I'd like to guess before I
A little more time.
But,
Fair.
I mean, we talked about it briefly, like, if you could find a way to do it within the 80,000 airplane size, still build a philosophy that builds a diesel bus
our 80,000 is transportation. I mean, somewhere in there, where does all the costs of running
I'll
transportation?
bring it back to you next time. I'm not going to say anything tonight on that.
I didn't understand, just real quick, because I didn't understand the question.
The $80,000, so when
That's our capital.
when I started this, when I started being your director in 2009, it was really hard for transportation to be able to purchase buses. The superintendent at that time wanted to only buy and purchase used buses. And that was the 2 buses that are going down now. Then the next superintendent came in with a new board, and I got tired of band-aiding, and I said, I'm done. So at that time is when we started looking into funding on how to fund buses. So they went out and purchased the 2 buses, which is T1 and T2. Those are our 2013. Those are the 2 brand new buses that we bought were international. They're the Max Forces. After that is when it's sitting down with the board and with that superintendent said, okay, we need to generate some kind of way of purchasing buses on a regular basis. Back then, it was a lot easier. Every 2 years, buying a bus was good. Now it's getting to where the technology and parts are getting fewer and fewer, that every 2 years is getting to be, I'm running those buses. T3, for example, is only, 2021, it's only like 4 years old. I've already got 100,000 miles on that, and that's a trip bus. You know, it's getting to where we're going farther and longer, okay? So purchasing buses, replacing parts, yes, it gets expensive, but that's your transportation. It's no different than driving your own car and replacing your car. Cars going up.
But your $80,000
My
transfer.
$80,000 was in there, was just set aside. It's like
Yeah,
like savings.
Yeah, but that's your transfer for, we'll call it a capital
Yeah,
purchase.
for my capital.
But there is a transportation fund for you for operating and everything else.
Okay, that's what.
That's where the 80,000 came from. They put it into a savings fund, so every 2 years I could purchase a bus. So
It
right
used to be
now,
40, I think.
it could
Well, I was
be
around.
$150,000. So this would come in that you would have to increase that savings account to another $40,000 put aside for my bus.
So I'll bring back some context and other things, closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you for your time and congratulations on the successful start of the year. I was a former teacher myself, and the first 2 weeks can be pretty difficult. And Joe, just the other thing is, other funding sources are out there and we're on top of them and can keep the district up to date. Excel, this kind of all-inclusive funding where it's 3 levels of bus charger infrastructure is pretty lucrative. So that's why it's definitely take a deep look right now. And then you have the infrastructure, so future expansion would be a little simpler. So that's kind of the spiel there. But thank you all so much for your time, and please ask any questions and we'll get the answers back to you.
Okay, thank
Thank you,
you.
Joe.
Thanks for your patience.
Great, thanks, Tim.
All right, thanks, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
good
Tim.
night. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Sam.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm gonna start calling
Yeah.
him.
call him Jimmy, so that's nice.
Timmy, I call him Timmy.
Right, but I feel like you can't.
I wouldn't.
Timmy don't care.
It's called-
We can call him boss man.
Hey, Timmy.
Hey, Tiffany, it's you.
It's a-
It's Tim, Timothy Mick, Timothy Mick. Timothy Mick.
Timmy.
All right,
Tim Mickey.
roll call.
Thank you, thank you.
Bye.
Here's
Drive
some
safely.
cards in case there's any questions.
Okay. So anyway,
Thanks, everyone.
well, that's it, yeah. But like I said,
I have a request for a potty break, so we're gonna take a 5-minute break. We'll come back here at 7:30. Ready? I think I have a few of those. All right, we're back. Good job. Aaron's keeping me on time. All right, we're moving into action items. We have no second reading policies. We do have the IGA being moved out of consent. So looking for a motion to approve IGA with Salida PD for the school resource officer.
So moved.
Jen, second. David, I don't know if you want to start, or Matt, if you want to have comments since you were the one to pull it out of consent. Either way.
I had a couple comments. One, at the last meeting, I sort of mentioned the desire to have something in there that reflects the fact that Salida PD is not going to be enforcing immigration laws in our school. I didn't see anything in there regarding that. I don't know if that was discussed.
It was discussing, tell you where the initial conversation went. And if you want, if we wanted to lean into that space, we could. But the initial conversations, particularly like the way you just said it,
Right.
we somehow limit the Salida PD's ability to participate with ICE. That is not something the police chief could sign.
It's not
Which is
what
not
I
the
said,
same.
just said though.
Which is not the same thing as saying limiting maybe the SRO's involvement, but they did not, that wasn't really an opening conversation. So it was discussed. That was kind of the initial, and we didn't push into that space. So if the board wanted me to push into that space, I'd push into that deeper.
I mean, I don't know where the board feels. I mean, I feel pretty strongly that the police should not be enforcing immigration laws in our schools. And that's not the same as cooperating with ICE. I get it, they need to cooperate with ICE, but they don't need to be in our schools enforcing immigration laws. Period.
Matt, are you talking about the SRO or are
Yeah.
you talking, okay.
So that's two different statements, the SRO
Ideally.
versus the police. We
Well,
wouldn't have the authority to
I'm
make that
kind of-
limitation.
Yeah, not being precise enough.
That's all right. That's why I'm just being-
So certainly, I'm talking about the IGA. That's-
Can someone tell me what constraints, if any, does our police department have, maybe no one in this room has this answer, on working with ICE in the community already?
They have not signed any agreement to, basically ICE deputizes your police if you sign an agreement. And
Does
then they
Colorado
become,
state law allows that?
it does, yep. No, only one agency has signed that agreement. It's with the jail for transferring of immigrants in a jail situation. No other police agency in Colorado to date has signed any agreement whereby you'd be a Salida PD officer and an ICE agent simultaneously would be the best way, in my understanding, to explain it. That's not happened or anything else. So the only way that would happen is if a federal agent came in with the appropriate paperwork, search warrants or warrants, then everyone has to comply with that judicial document. That's us, that's the
And we have a
police.
policy for that in place.
Mhm. Yep. And that is, yes.
So even with, like Matt's ask of the SRO enforcement, would anything out of the court would supersede that.
Correct.
So what authority for restricting their activity does the school district have? Would it just be, we're not going to employ?
It's just
An
a matter of
SRO.
contract, we're making a contract with them and they would be in breach of the contract. I mean, that's.
So it has no teeth?
So in that
Yeah, I mean,
case,
you can say that
I
about
guess
any
we just
contract,
wouldn't-
right?
No.
We just wouldn't-
Yeah, you can. What you just said is anybody can breach anything at any time.
But there's teeth. I did not say breach, I said teeth. Sorry.
Well,
It has no teeth.
then they would be in breach and,
You would sue the police department or someone.
well,
someone
you could in theory, you could terminate the
Right, we
IGA.
could limit the access that they would have.
if you went down that road, this is very theoretical. I want to be really careful because there's no concern, fears, knowledge, suspicions, or anything else in our community of any of that happening. I want to just be very careful since we're in a public meeting to make sure everyone else is hearing. There's no concern, no knowledge of any concern of federal agents coming into Salida and acting. And so we're in the theoretical world. If you and everyone has signed this and we put a limitation on the SRO and someone showed up with a warrant, then you would be saying, as per the contract, that SRO carry out that warrant, a different officer. They would assign a different officer, a patrol officer, a street officer, maybe we call, to come and do that. That would be the theoretical way of trying to keep the contract, keep the law in those spaces. That would be how I would understand it.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, Salida PD would never carry out a warrant for ICE. It would be an ICE agent.
Correct. Yep.
Unless they agreed.
Which is, to me, is like, I don't know why they would have a problem not agreeing to what I'm suggesting.
I think you're into just various people saying who's going to limit who and who has the authority to limit who. And
Well, if they're not going to do it anyway, they're not really agreeing to anything. They
yes,
wouldn't
that
be
would be
doing
the argument for them
otherwise.
to sign on is it's
Right,
risks nothing, so why would you not agree to it?
right.
And I think the counter argument would be if it risks nothing and has nothing, then why are you enforcing it into the contract? Would be the-
Well, because
Would
it's
you
a
sign?
message to the community, I think, which is important in this time.
Well, and
I
so
would-
that what you're,
You know?
it's your concern that this SRO who develops these relationships with these minors would then be extracting said minors? Is that what your concern is that it's a high trust position? And then you would instantly lose all of that rapport if the SRO specifically did that?
I'm more concerned about sending a message to the community. if I'm
Good,
honest.
okay, yeah, okay,
That's
I agree.
under attack right now, rightly or wrongly, but, you know, we've had a history in this country of, you know, public institutions educate children,
That's right.
whether they're citizens or not. That's been the law going on for a long time. And yeah, it just sends a message that to that community that, you know, we definitely agree that an SRO needs to be in school, but here's the boundaries, you know, we're not going to be here to enforce immigration laws, which is what they're doing already.
Right, it's the current place.
Well, and I'd be curious, I mean, obviously a bigger district like Denver has SROs, correct? Or do they don't anymore, right? Or did they bring them back?
They've been bringing them back.
Okay.
They're always, it's always going to be a conversation.
So they brought them back, and they obviously have far more immigration concerns than we
Or
have.
far more attention, yeah.
So I would be curious if they have any types of these clauses in the Denver SRO contracts.
I can ask her lawyer. When I asked the question specifically, she
Right.
said we have not done that with anybody else.
That's
So-
what I guess too. Those novel issues.
But I think you're right, Jody. I think the minute that would happen, they would lose, there would be no trust with that SRO with the students.
And I want you to
For any
know,
student.
if a
Exactly.
federal agent shows up to my office with a badge, a gun, and a warrant, I will do whatever I'm told to do to assist
Warrant
that.
Signed by
Federal
a,
agent.
signed by a judge.
Correct.
That's
The
the
law will
one.
be followed.
Right.
It's a matter of who would be for you to send a message to the community that we will follow the law, right? But Bree would not be implementing the law that this district would follow. Now, if someone
Would not
shows up
be the
with
action
a
person.
warrant,
The
the
judge signed
same
the warrant.
action would be taken. It just wouldn't be done by the SRO.
And I don't even know if I'm asking for that line to be drawn. You know, if somebody shows up with a warrant, it's not going to be the SRO who's enforcing it. You know, the SRO is not going to come to the school district with a federal warrant unless there has been some other agreement
Yeah.
that Salida PD
So I
is
guess
going to be cooperative.
I thought that's what you were asking the IGA to say,
I
that when
missed
there's a warrant, the SRO
No.
would not be.
I put word, I put
I'm
those
just
words in.
saying, Salida, you know, that the SRO will not enforce, you know, be enforcing immigration laws. Period.
For clarity of what
And
is
you can
already the
massage
status
that a
quo.
little more with, you know, accepting, you know, if there's a warrant. blah, 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 blah.
I mean, it's currently the status quo,
It is
But
the
if
current
we-
status legal quo, yeah.
but the police department could change their mind and sign on.
They
We
could.
could get a new police chief who signs on. So,
Oh,
Then we can write
right?
the law. Or-
So I guess currently, yes, like the law is that they have not signed on to be deputized as agents. But are you concerned if
We're pretty
that
deep into
changes or more
theoreticals.
just like the messaging?
Again, I'm concerned with the messaging. It's not a hill I'm gonna die on, but I would like to, if the rest of the board wants to, I would like to push it forward in the negotiation.
Okay.
For sure.
Can I just ask, you also asked the pool, was that the main reason you wanted to discuss that tonight?
There was one other issue.
Okay, I just wanted to see if there was other issues.
So the other issue, if nobody else has anything, the indemnification was struck out by Melissa. I'm a little concerned about that. Policing is a pretty high liability area, and I know why she took it out, and I don't agree with her from a legal principle, but we would want the indemnification. So oftentimes what happens in these negotiations when local governments want indemnification struck, it's because they are the indemnifying party. We're asking, essentially, if something bad happens, knock on wood, it's not, it's going to be, we want the indemnification from Salida. So it's not like we're going to ever be in a position where we are indemnifying Salida. The more likely scenario is Salida is going to need to indemnify us if something bad happens with the SRO and does something cuckoo. And that was taken out.
Can we look at, I don't know if you can see what's on the screen. She's sometimes, in that you can do this, lawyers, there's more red than there actually is because they like to rearrange things or feel like it can be said better. So the way I read that, Matt, might be different than the way you had read it. So please help me. You'll see below here, this indemnifying statement is removed.
Yeah.
Right? That's the one you're discussing.
Right.
But above it, she inserted a different one.
It says the parties are governmental entities as such are prohibited
By law.
And that's not true. I spent weeks studying this issue for this University of Colorado. I probably know more about it than almost any attorney in the state, but I went down the rabbit hole on this. And that's just a rote thing that local government attorneys do. That's really not, it's arguable. So the other provision that she struck out, it says each party to the extent permitted by law. So it allows that argument to happen in court, whether it's permitted or not, right? And she's just saying out of the bat, it's not, which cuts.
It's a risk for us.
It's a risk for us.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It helps me because
So
clearly
just
I'm not.
how it was fine. You know, somebody could come in and argue, well, it's not allowed under whatever that constitutional provision is. And then the other lawyer would say, well, it is allowed. And then you have a judge decide. But the way it's drafted now, we don't even get to have that ability to seek indemnification if we need to.
So your recommendation to the board is to put back in the way it was.
Leave it as is. Yeah.
All right. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So are there any other questions or comments on the IGA? Right. Right now, are we
I think it was
operating
changed.
with an IGA?
We are not operating with an active, it is expired, the IGA right now. Which I'm not really in deep concern. I think Bree does an amazing job and I think we're working together and may concern other people, but I'm not deeply concerned at this moment. But that's a liability that we'd like to close the loop on.
Well, and if we do the 3-year contract.
And that's one of the reasons, that was what the city asked. I think that is a very reasonable thing. They also asked, hey, can we get to a 50% mark? I said, no, we will do the 30%. My board is very clear on that. And we are
30K,
open to having that.
30K, not percent.
30K, thank you, $30,000. But, so that was the clear,
Obviously very important for us.
that was the clear board's message. I said, but we are always open to having new conversations, even if it's a multi-year agreement. Boards come and go, and I didn't want to limit the next board in some way.
Ahead of us.
I'm gonna make a suggestion. There's a couple ways to take that forward. I think you've had your conversation. One, you could amend the motion, which I believe been made, was to say approve the IGA with the 2 changes recommended, to return the indemnification clause as it was, and to insert a clear statement that the SRO will not implement ICE laws, I can't think of the word, immigration laws. Those are the 2 suggestions on the floor. And obviously, you don't have to make that suggestion. You could table it and tell me, David, bring back those things. Matt's got a chance to make himself clear, but I know that would be kind of two ways to solve it. Or just say, motion stands, make a vote, and you can force it that way. That's probably the third option.
I would recommend tabling it because I know there were a few other areas that we were trying to get resolution to, and it doesn't seem like we've got final resolution. The blue highlights, I
They were
believe.
the blue
That's
ones.
still blue.
Trying to clarify, yeah, we have not heard back from the city. They were trying to clarify, one of the big things you struggle with in SRO is around the issue of FERPA, right? Educational records, they're embedded in the system. How do you make sure this person's got enough knowledge to do their job and protect us and stay involved, but not have educational records be turned into evidence effectively for crimes? That's a line. And I just want to make sure the community knows there's no struggle there, but clarifying that is complex. So that's some of the remaining areas that need to be addressed.
If we can't come to an agreement by the September meeting,
Yeah.
I mean, at what point does it become a liability that we have an SRO without an IGA?
If I will bring you back one, particularly I'd like clarity from, if you're going to table it, I still need clarity
On this idea.
from these ideas that Matt has brought forward. There's two, so I can bring that back with clarity so everyone can say, yes, that's what we want. And if you can't bring that back and we're at a stuck point, then we need to have a different conversation. I'll have a lawyer provide recommendations on what options we have, and we probably need to sit down with other elected officials and discuss. And I guess this isn't a staff
So
conversation.
is the yellow and blue stuff that Melissa put in that their lawyer is not done
The only
with,
thing that's
or-
remaining was the stuff in the blue. That's it.
But did that come from Melissa or come from their lawyer?
Both and.
Both.
Right. It's come back and forth. And I want to be clear with you, the lawyer is very happy. I think the city has been very, very helpful. There was quite a few changes, and they saw the wisdom in what was being suggested and accepted the vast majority of those. I don't, there's been no bad faith or
Yeah,
complex
yeah,
or these.
going smooth.
It's all been very smooth and easy. And I'd be glad if you table it to bring some back. I just want clarity on the two issues that Matt's brought us.
What are you guys' initial reaction on those 2 points that Matt brought up?
Yeah, I appreciate Matt's desire to kind of have that statement out there to the community. I would also agree it's not a hill to die on, and I'd rather have a signed and effective IGA without the language than continue to debate that topic for periods on end.
Okay, and what about the indemnification part?
He's the attorney. I would trust him more than you're going to get out of me.
Yeah, okay. So you'd like us to demonstrate support in a different way for our students who may or may not have legal status, but you support him returning that indemnification up into where the laws that be right there.
No, I
can't hear you because
I would advise tabling it and then working on
Plus the
those 2
blues.
points, plus the blues, bringing back a clean final version. If the city of Salida PD, whatever, if we can't get across that bridge on the immigration comments
Right,
in
in
the
the first
IJ, then I would bring it forward with everything else fixed. Because I think we have our intent. I don't know. It sounds like they have the same intent as us, but maybe feel whatever reasons that they don't want to put that in writing. I don't
They
know.
want it to be more of a handshake.
Yeah, maybe the conversation hasn't been pushed on enough, so we should push on it and see what comes out of it.
Does that help you, David, with more information?
Does everybody want me to push on an immigration conversation?
I'd like more clarity on what we're asking. Because there are surely circumstances where having Bree assist in, a detention or something in school would be actually beneficial, instead of having people who aren't as familiar with the kids going in and doing that. And that's the thing, is it gets so hypothetical. I know I don't like putting too many parameters on, because you can always think of a hypothetical where one's better than the other. So putting those parameters down may limit something in the future. Hopefully nothing in the future. So at least having an idea of what you're wanting to see out of it. Besides, I don't like public statements. Like, I think we should be judged by our actions more than a statement. And so besides the public statement part, because we can make that independently of this issue, we could make it for a public statement. Yeah. So is there a way we could do something like that and then having something working with the police department that we all easily agree with?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not a hill I want to die on, but it's something I would like to, in terms of the actual language, I mean, I can sit down here and hammer something out, you know, but, yeah, there's always going to be hypotheticals that come up. It's certainly not. You know, the main thing, my main concern is just, which is already happening, is that the SRO does not enforce laws. You know, whether they cooperate with them, you know, you could massage language. That's,
And I apologize. I may not listen well. I heard Matt ask about that last meeting. I asked about it. I didn't push deep into that space. So if the rest of the board really wants me to push deep in that space and I didn't listen well, I apologize. I'd be glad to push into that space. I can try and come back with either language in the contracts or here's some solutions so that everyone gets what they need for the theoretical without, it still gets us our contract and a multi-year agreement with them. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've worked really hard to rebuild that relationship, and I think it's on a really good space. So I think a conversation with you, and again, I don't know if that's Christy Dunn and the administrator, if that's Chief Johnson, or who that is, to kind of have the conversation before the attorneys start passing language back and forth. I think we can come to something amenable for everybody.
Well, and I was just gonna say, I mean, I definitely agree with Matt's sentiment. I guess I worry a little, like if Melissa said she's never done this for any other district, like, and we're the only district in the state that's adding this kind of language into our SRO agreement. Like I hear what Ben's saying, that there can be these unintended consequences, because sometimes, I mean, I don't see a circumstance where Bree helping with an immigration is helpful, but I do agree with you that her helping with other students, you know, she's familiar with kids, she can deal with them more appropriately. Hopefully she learns how to de-escalate better than maybe other officers. So I guess I am curious, like if there's no other district in the state that has added this language, do we really want to be the little rural district that decides to?
I'll just say my
language.
normal strategy is not to, because then you attract attention and I don't think this is the right
You could be on the
federal
news.
political.
I mean,
don't
it
think that
seems-
helps
it seems
our kids most at risk, but other
challenging.
people view it differently.
No.
David, do you feel, because I admittedly am not super in touch with that community,
Mhm.
do you, I would be interested to know if this is something we are hearing, because we do have a lot of wonderful advocates for that community that email us and come to our meetings. Is this a concern that you've heard voiced from either students who this would apply to or their families? Or
Nothing
people
specifically has
advocating?
ever been mentioned.
Just out of curiosity.
Nothing specific has ever been mentioned that I know of. But I don't know that anyone's ever asked that specific of a question, so the silence may or may not. It's not independently rising.
Not necessarily kids are not going to school because we haven't answered it.
Nope, never heard anything that don't fit.
I would recommend tabling, but Ben, you would have to make that motion. If there's anything else.
I would like to move to table this.
And then working
Till the September meeting.
Till the September meeting.
Okay.
All right, I'll get after it. Thank you for
Second?
clarifying.
With the second.
We haven't voted on that yet, so Jen is our second. And then we have to vote on that, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna have to, sorry, I'm moving around, I have to. All right, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit. Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Hawks.
Aye.
Mrs. Blumberg.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Ms. Schiffman. Aye. And Mr. Smith.
Okay, we're through action items, so board communications committee reports. Mandy, I assume there's nothing out of BOCES with the second day of school.
I don't have anything.
Other districts haven't even started, so, okay. Karen and I from a facilities committee, I think everything's moving smoothly except our county land conversation. We poked the bear again today and got a response that they're gonna respond to us soon, so. We'll see,
What was the response?
we'll see what that looks like. Getting more frustrated and discouraged, and we'll see where we go once we get their response, so.
They're answering emails.
Yeah,
You got a response?
we got a response. Communications, Jen, Matt,
Can I just
Kim?
ask one?
Sure.
What is the status of the HEA, old HEA building?
I mean, it's that question. That's for closing. I'll close at the end of the month. August 29th is closing date. Right now, CMC is kind of using the Kesner building. They're also kind of using that right now as well. While we're dealing with the
Yeah, Nora
pigeon
told
issue.
me she has a class in there. I was like, you do?
Yeah. So we are utilizing that building right now because we have a pigeon issue in Kesner that is not making it good for classes.
Pigeon, like the bird.
It's like back in the day.
It's
Yeah.
all mess with those pigeons.
We used to encourage them. We used to leave food for them.
So it's your fault, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they do the one side.
So August 29th, we should close on that. Through inspections, moving forward. Don't see any issues. And those funds will be then allocated to be set aside for capital projects. Again, putting in a great position.
Jen, Matt, Kim, communications.
I think we're off to a great start. We've got our communications plan in place. We've started our letters to the editors campaign. And so you'll start seeing those routinely, hopefully twice a month is our plan. And so, yep, so it's just part of our communications plan. I think David's slated to write the next one. At our retreat day on the 22nd, we'll talk through assigning the rest of those topics. And principals will also get a chance to highlight their buildings. So excited to see some of those things.
A big compliment to the team because there's all kinds of information that you're pushing out to the media. And I hear it on the radio, I see it in voice, read it in the mountain. Loved the training and the policy that's for immigration. That everybody had and everybody can follow. And then it's also up, and then there's also very detailed and specific guidance in English and Spanish on the website for our families on how to maybe mitigate that worry from ICE.
Well, and that was well received by the group that's been coming, and they've had their eyes on it and appreciated that.
I mean, I was
that as well. So, yeah.
I couldn't understand it.
Quick comment on the website. Can we
Yes.
not access the policy book anymore?
You should be, and I have.
Because I tried to look for the dress code today because I was
On
going to
your
compare
phone or
and
on
I
your computer?
on my computer, and when I
Okay.
searched like school board policy, there's only like 4 things, and I couldn't.
From the website.
Yeah,
Let's talk that you should be able to. is the answer
We don't
to
know.
that.
No, you're the first one to mention there's many problems. So we'll check links and
Yeah, we'll talk.
I
'Cause you
figured
should
that
be
might
able
help.
to. I noticed the other day I tried to pull something up on my phone and had issues with the mobile piece of
yeah,
it.
no, it was on
It
my
always
computer.
cuts off on the mobile.
Yeah, but I couldn't access. Like it was weird.
You want your school board to be able to access their policy.
Yeah.
You can pull it
If
up.
yeah, we'll cover it.
Okay, we can
Yeah,
guess.
offline. Yeah.
Oh wait.
Okay, we're gonna move forward.
Keep going.
We'll work on that. Casby, Jen?
Seems like there's not a lot of interest from anyone in our region coming to a regional meeting, so I think that's just gonna be a no thank you. So I'm sure you can read that right up on the calendar.
so I think next Wednesday, I do not think you need to attend. I did inform Casby that since there's not the final answer, they were going to wait one more day to see if anyone else had registered, but we did not, talking to Jen, see a need to host them from Denver just to talk to us. I feel like we have the ability to talk to them whenever we need to. So next Wednesday,
Okay, yeah.
you can take that off your,
Okay, the policy is working. I must have just been doing something weird earlier.
Internet connection. So that was the
Thank you.
29th.
So we
it
can.
was Tuesday, the 19th. You should be able to cancel that off
If
your.
you can return those, we get credit for it.
Yeah, we'll double, triple confirm that tomorrow, but
Oh no, we're canceling it now.
Ben, anything with the deck?
Nothing new.
Kim, election update. If that's needed still, I don't know.
Right, we are officially in petition season, so anyone interested in running for the board is welcome to come check in with me, and I will get them a petition and all the needed things. Anyone who's checked out a petition and it's ready to get turned in, it'd be great to do that early so I have time to validate signatures. That's really all I have to say at this moment.
Okay.
When's the petition deadline?
August 29th at noon, because it's a Friday and that's our business hours, so noon deadline. That's an after hours, after session discussion.
Just looking at that.
Okay, calendar of events. We just talked about canceling the 18th.
Can we talk about future meeting topics first? Did you skip that?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah. Well, no, just let me go through the calendar. The parent seminar, school safety, that is August 20th. I'm sure we'll get more details, but we do have that night. Last year, I know there was one attendee. But
Like 40.
he did ask a lot of good questions, so that was good.
Same as the Oak Street open house.
Right. Next Friday, is that right? The 22nd, we have our retreat.
And that's here?
That will
Yes.
be here. We will send out an agenda, so to speak. We kind of put that together before, and if you would look at our various policy positions and activity statements and things like that, that's kind of where we figured we would spend our time. That's kind of the basis of our strategic plan. So those kinds of things were the basis, but topics for future
Well, I think
meetings.
that answers my question. I mean, just with that lacrosse email coming in, like, I just think we need to definitely spend a fair amount of time circling back to figuring out how we're moving forward with activities.
Yeah, we kind of allocated basically, we've tackled and spent a lot of time on a few of those communications. There may be some stuff to follow up on, but more diving into the activities, technology, things of that nature.
And then this is just kind of a random aside, but I was just curious, David, because I was kind of surprised in the meeting when you said about the not responding to email for 5 days and wanting people to come in and call and set meetings rather than respond to emails.
Yep.
I was curious how that's been received by teachers, because I would imagine maybe some of them would rather receive an email from a parent than schedule a meeting with the parent.
Some of them would, and I don't think that's the best practice or a good
Okay.
practice in any way, shape, or form. And so there's a couple things strategically I would like to look at. One, it is a little hard, but if we are going to engage this conversation of what right now people want to talk about is AI, but we are going to quickly have to address quantum computing in our industry and what our philosophy and thinking is around educating kids, we are going to have to start to think deeper about what we're going to let go of. The answer is not do more. And I want to be at the forefront of the conversation to say what we hire teachers for and what a teacher can do that a computer will never be able to do is to be with another human. And that's their most important thing that we do. So that is where that's at. It would surprise me if we push back or shift that. But in order to initiate new thinking, we've got to start to let go of and change that and start to claim spaces to generate new conversations. I'm very fearful that what we're going to try and do to public education is the mistake we've made again and again. Just do one more thing. And in order to do better, you have to let go of what are we going to let go of. And so that conversation was starting there strategically. And to also state clearly up front, we're for kid development, human development, and community. That's our vision. So let's get clear about it. And if email is like, no, it's the most essential thing ever, great. And let's discuss how that helps us build community in that sense. Because a teacher who does not want to talk to a parent and would rather just do email communication is not best practice and is not going to generate the best for our kids nor the best for our community. So kind of some more thought there.
That's on the agenda for next week.
It'd be in the communications plan.
But for the 22nd, is that anything around that on the
Yep, it'd be the communications plan.
technology?
Yep, and technology. Yep.
Yeah. I don't think broad blanket statements are helpful, like all emails.
Right.
It's clearly appropriate. use of
Clearly.
email. There's clearly a time of face-to-face communications as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Those were my two future topics, and they're already on the agenda. So.
Okay, agenda review. Who wants to sign up for September agenda?
Well, one, back to Cassie stuff real fast, sorry, I probably should have done this every time. I did send a link today, just to a quick form for the convention in December. I do need you to do a quick, I know it's in December, because we're on the Broadmoor list this year, we have to get those reservations in on the 18th of August. So I just need, I know it's a long way away
Just register us all.
August.
for the hotel. So if you could just go through, theoretically, if you could just give me your planned dates, knowing they can change, but if you could help me with that, that'd be super awesome. Okay, now we can talk about it. Thank you.
Kim, is that what you have called to respond to the Form 2024 CASB Annual Conference?
Yes, and I should have updated the title, but yes, that's
All
the
right.
one. Yeah.
Call to action.
Anyway. Yeah, CTIA.
Judy will
But
be there.
please, she is, Jody and I.
Jody.
And Karen.
Oh,
All right, agenda review for September. I'll keep rolling.
Mandy,
Andy's on it. Thank you.
looking for a motion to approve. Or
Adjourn.
Susan. Mandy, a motion to adjourn at 8:07.
Along with.
We tabled it.
We table.